Paratorrero, they made you believe that manifestation was a power reserved for a select few, though that is the first lie. The truth is far more uncomfortable. You have never stopped manifesting. You have been doing it ever since you done it every second of your life, only unconsciously. You must understand something fundamental from this very instant. You have never been excluded from the power of manifestation. What is truly happening is that you have been trapped in an uninterrupted loop of unconscious creation, running up the staircase from 0 to 9 every second of your life to feed on autopilot the simulation of scarcity. This slavery operates through a precise neurophysiological trap. Your brain processes conscious perception with a biological delay of approximately 80 milliseconds relative to the reality of the field. In that micro-interval, the matrix injects its primary program, the inhibitory negative habit patterns you learned in childhood through destructive criticism. The system exploits that gap to seed in you the fear of failure and the fear of rejection, forcing you to act like a rudderless ship after the rift without a center or sovereign control over your destiny. Look around you or analyze your own routine. You wake up and immediately inject the noise of your environment into your mind. You assume the identity of the deprived, repeating to yourself that money is not enough in chaff, injecting it with a visceral emotion of panic and going out into the streets to act with submission. The result is inevitable. The law of concentration activates in its negative version, causing whatever you focus your mind on to expand in your reality. The hologram returns to you with mathematical precision, more bills, more debt, and more stress. You have manifested your own prison, fulfilling the ancient law that declares, "For the thing I greatly fears has come upon me, and what I dreaded has happened to me." Job 3:25. The same thing happens when you feel biological discomfort. Your mind projects the narrative of illness, alters your cellular coherence and terrateas, and ends up materializing the pathology. To break this loop, it is imperative that you dismantle the charade of the fake monk lighting incense on the mountain in search of contemplative escapism. Your true zero state is not a passive meditation zone. It is a neurophysiological handbrake and a combat zone where you unlearn environmental conditioning to assume the sovereignty of your I am. When Christ retreated alone to the mountain, he did not do so to isolate himself from the world, but to disconnect his processor from the opinion matrix, recharge high voltage in the synthetic field, and return to manifest miracles in the midst of the crowd without asking the system for permission. He operated under the direct understanding of the apocryphal truth. The kingdom of the Father is spread out upon the earth and people do not see it. Gospel of Thomas, saying 113. Entering the zero state means shutting down the dialogue of your limited self-concept, neutralizing reactive emotion, and returning to the center of your toroidal field, the true Garden of Eden, which was never a GSR. Are a geographical location, but the axis of the Merkaba wheel seen by the prophet Ezekiel. By aligning yourself at that sovereign center, the time lag between your thought and the form dissolves. Once settled in that sovereignty, you activate the architect's blueprint. Here you design with the surgical precision of a surgeon the seed, the yod, the number 10 of the sacred koto, projecting the geometry of your goal without leaving any loose ends. From that vision, you pass directly to adjusting the frequency tuning, activating the receptive vessel, the number 5, the matrix of the right hemisphere. It is at this point that the masses have been castrated by the system, hedging in the intuition and the feminine power of conception of the right brain. The apocryphal scriptures prophesied the need to recover this interhemispheric architecture by decreeing, when you make the two into one, and when you make the inside like the outside, and the outside like the inside, and the above like the below, and when you make the male and the female one and the same, then you will enter the kingdom. Gospel of Thomas, saying 22. It is not a physical union, but the perfect synchronization of your logical vision with your intuitive certainty within the neural software. But vision requires fuel, and that fuel is not vagueness, but the electrical tension of emotion. You must inject the absolute certainty of the event already fulfilled, invoking the power of the word that codes the structure of the universe. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made. John 1:1-3. And for that vibration to penetrate the lattice work, the law of the subconscious demands that you hold your attention unwaveringly on the desired result, remembering the biblical maxim. Therefore I say to you, whatever things you ask when you pray, believe that you receive them and you will have them. Mark 11:24. This is where you fall if you grow careless in the friction zone and time lag. Due to the density of physical matter, there is a phase shift between the invisible emission and the collapse into the three-dimensional cube. If in the midst of that lapse you hear a relative doubt, receive adverse news, or yield to panic, you inject an anti-phase wave that cancels your design. To avoid this, your neurophysiology requires you to close the circuit through acts of physical anchoring, making Mars records or precise physical movements in matter is not superstition. It is the signature in the physical plane notifying your subconscious that the contract has been irrevocably sealed. Designing the blueprint without executing coherent physical actions is a sterile fantasy. If you have designed your reality like a sovereign, you cannot go out into the streets acting like a slave. Your posture, your language, and your execution must respond to the fact that reality has already collapsed. As was revealed in the Gnostic wisdom of Philip, those who say that they will die first and then rise are mistaken if they do not first receive the resurrection while they are alive. When they die, they will receive nothing. Gospel of Philip, saying 90. You must walk in the physical plane with the absolute calm of someone who knows that the order has already been issued in the software of the universe, moving earthly pieces with relentless execution. When you maintain that seamless interhemispheric coherence, the lattice breaks a linear causality and the universe has no choice but to surrender to your mandate, operating under the supreme principle. Again, I say to you that if two of you agree on earth concerning anything that they ask, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven. Matthew 18:19. Therefore, the directive is clear. Enter the zero state as I shut down the 80 millisecond virus and claim the metal of the observer at the center of the torus. Draw the blueprint with absolute specificity. Fuse your left hemisphere and your right hemisphere into a single vector. Hold the emotional tension through the time delay. Seal the circuit with physical coherence and claim the totality of your destiny as the inevitable result of your own mind. Crown your design under the apocryphal sentence that guarantees the collapse of the matrix. Recognize what is in your sight, and that which is hidden from you will become manifest to you. Gospel of Thomas, saying 5.